So now, you saying that you said in the last segment that girls back when you were teaching girls, many girls, what?
Many girls chose what they call the bad boys over the good boys. And the good boys, sometimes they were so lonely. They seemed to be doing the right things, and nobody looked out for them, even teachers. For example, if there was a fight between the drug boy who started a fight with them and the innocent guy who never did anything wrong or tried to be a good boy, when they broke the fight up, they'd say to the guy who was a halfway decent boy, I expect more from you. They expect more from him when the drug dealer or the gangster started a fight with him and he beat the gangster up. Makes no sense to me.
So, go ahead.
Well, anyway.
You were that type of guy. You were a square, not a square, but you were a straight edge guy. You did your homework. You went to school on time.
I tried, yeah. But that was I was in a different era where everybody was almost like that. In my era, like about my generation.
That's true.
But that generation I was teaching, it's almost like they wanted to back their boy up to do something stupid. You know, if I was walking or my brothers was walking, and we saw 20 people with guns, we wouldn't aggravate them. We'd just take our boy and say, come on, let's get away from here. And one day you told me this, I think about this today, and how different my generation was. You said, yeah. I said, look how you guys treated me. I was a father. I tried to be a good father, all of you. And you said, yeah. And if somebody said something about if your mother on the playground, you'll beat them up. But somebody said something bad about your father, you wouldn't get mad. In my generation, it was just the opposite. You couldn't say nothing about anybody's mother, grandmother, father, grandfather, cousin, brother. They'd be ready to fight. Your generation, I don't know what the new generation's doing.
So now you in your heyday, you were working 2-3 jobs, right? You were driving a Z. You had all the ladies. You were a straight edge guy. You had girls. So how did that like?
Well, I also had a mother and father. I also had grandparents. I also had brothers, younger brothers, one older brother, cousins that were older than me.
So you got guidance.
Neighborhood.
So it was guidance.
I had neighborhood. You do anything wrong in the neighborhood, in fact, my youngest brother, 8 years difference, he might get beat by my mother, my father, my grandparents, because they moved from south up north, and I may get him. And if we saw anybody cutting school, my sister cutting school, yeah. You want to call a snitch? Yeah, I snitched. I didn't know. That was in Brazil.
Oh.
But I danced.
So you spent a lot of time in Brazil.
Yeah.
How many times have you been to Brazil?
Oh, 10 times. Not like Uncle Tony. Tony stayed there now.
So you went to Brazil
Only
10 times.
10 times.
And how long was the period? Was that like over 10 years or how? Because
I was like a period of 12 years.
So in 12 years you went to Brazil.
Yeah, but
10 times.
I went to a lot of countries.
So now, why would you? What was it about Brazil that was so special?
A lot of things. Brazil is like a twilight zone. It's almost like America, but different. Every city in Brazil is like a different country. Everything about the different countries in Brazil.
Now I seen some of your pictures from Brazil, and there was a lot of women in bikinis.
No, you only saw one woman in a bikini. There's just one of them.
I'm just saying, a lot of brothers nowadays are going to Brazil. They're saying that they're going to Brazil because it's the women that attracts them to Brazil.
Well, but let me say this. Yeah, Brazil has some good-looking women. But when you go to Brazil, you come back to the United States, or wherever you go, you see beautiful women everywhere.
No, but the Brazilians got the women that are more, they're not Americanized. They're not independent. They don't have to think for themselves. They look at American man, they're poor. Okay, they're poor, Joe. They look at an American man coming down there with a bunch of money, and they treat American men like gods.
That's partly true.
Because you went there 10 times in 12 years.
But let me tell you something else. I had a Brazilian girlfriend. You know what she wanted? She wanted me to move to Brazil. She went to school here at Howard and graduate school in New York. She wanted to live in Brazil. She wanted me to live in Brazil with her. But she was crazy.
But she wouldn't want you to come down here broke, right?
So what?
She didn't want you to come down to Brazil broke, right?
What do you mean?
She didn't want you to come down there with no money.
I mean, no woman would want that. But she knew America. She studied America, and in Brazil she was famous.
So tell me this. Okay, so when you were going down to Brazil in the 70s, right? 80s, 70s and 80s.
Right.
Now, so you met my mother in 90.
Right.
So you come. So you haven't been to Brazil since then.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, we have. I took your mother to
Brazil.
No,
I'm talking about you haven't been to Brazil. Yeah, you went last year, but I'm talking about until last year you hadn't been to Brazil.
Right.
Right. So when you were single, you were going down to Brazil every year.
For a period of time, I went to a lot of countries.
Okay, so now, did you see a lot of other single American men going down to Brazil?
Not like I do now. There wasn't that many. There was a few, but they specialized in studying Portuguese and things like that. But now a lot of men are going down there.
Yeah, it's a whole cottage industry of black brothers. They say the women treat you a lot better than American black women do.
They say that, yeah. And also a lot of people are going all over the country. They're going all over the world. Black people are going all over the world now. But one part was, in Brazil, you can see these dark-skinned women, and you can see women that was my age, or a little bit younger. They were considered old. I forgot, I might have been, let's say I was 27, I don't know. Or let's say I was 27. I've seen dark-skinned women, brown-skinned women say, "Why are you looking at me?" I said, "Why you think?" And I was studying Portuguese. I wanted to learn Brazilian Portuguese. And Brazilian men, I would try to practice Portuguese, so we'd be speaking Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. I was getting so good. Then I remember 2 times where they say, "Let's go talk to some girls." And I would ask them, "How old are these girls?" Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised how they talk. They said 13 and 14. I said, "Oh no." Then they had the nerve to ask me, "Why would you want an old shoe? Why do you want to talk to an old woman?" And the dark-skinned women or brown-skinned women, they were taught that they weren't beautiful. They weren't desirable.
Now, how about in America?
America?
Yeah. Were they taught the same thing in America?
Say what?
Were they taught the same thing in America?
You mean the women?
Yeah.
Or Brazilian people?
No, in America.
Hell
American women. American black dark-skinned women.
Well, some of them, some women are taught you got good hair and all that stuff. But on an average, no. On average, no.
So you're saying here, because another thing on YouTube, on social media, they talk a lot about is colorism.
Right, in America, right.
They say that, there's a lot of colorism in the black community.
That's everywhere. India, every country you go to, Japan, Korea, it's some of that.
So everywhere you go in the world,
almost.
The darker the people are, the worse they treat.
Well,
and the darker the women are, the less beautiful they consider.
Right, but there are some places in Mexico where that was a little different. In Mexico, everybody who's dark-skinned, it's a certain city, Guadalajara. The black people are, the blacker you are, the better looking you are.
But it's only that one city.
Well, I don't know, but I can't say that. I haven't been there everywhere, but it seems like it.
Okay. So,
it seems like it.
So now let's get back onto the now let's get back to the crime situation. Now, you live in Prince George's County.
Right.
Prince George's County, very, very upwardly more affluent African Americans, okay?
Right.
Even though they work hard, even though nothing was given to them. These people weren't like trust fund babies or nothing.
Right.
Like you said, you grew up in 7th Street near Orleans Place, right on the corner of 7th and Orleans. You had, 6, 7 siblings. You know what I'm saying? Your parents work their butts off to provide for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Right.
Right. So you've worked over time, and you were able to, now you have a house in Prince George's County, the affluent, the most.
But let me say, in those days, there have been hard times, but we didn't look at it like that. We're doing good, because my family did do certain things. My mother and father both had 2-3 jobs, and like they say Jamaicans, but that wasn't unusual.
Yeah. So
I enjoyed my life growing up.
Right. You didn't feel like you was poor.
No, I didn't feel like it, because even I would go down to North Carolina at first before my grandparents moved up and spend the country time down there.
Do you think that white women are more submissive or more easy to get along with than black women?
Well, I can see other people feeling that. I don't feel that way, but I can understand why people say that.
Okay, now why do you think people say that?
Why do you think? Okay, I'll tell you what. Now, I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
But when I was in college, I may offend somebody. When I was in college, although things have changed, I know some African brothers and Caribbean brothers told just what they told me. And even some of my students said this is what their brothers told them, who went to college before they did.
Mm-hmm.
They said, yeah, some of the Caribbean brothers, African brothers came here and they tried to have sex with a sister. The sister said no. And they went to some white women and it was easy for them. Now, is that what you're talking about?
Oh no, I don't think they were necessarily talking about sex, but that's one aspect of it. But I think they're talking about just the relationship. Well, white women have better attitudes.
That might be true.
I'm not saying that.
But also, if you're a brother who gonna come up with nothing over the table, and you think a man controls a woman, and you're gonna try to step with some of these sisters like that, no. I don't blame the sisters for being hard. And yet, it is some problems, because I know I can understand what some of the brothers are saying. I'm walking down the street, and I see a sister, I speak to her. Some sisters don't speak back, but when I speak to the white sisters, they say hi, they smile. But they got their reason, I'm just saying.
So you're saying that now? Do you think that sisters may be harder because they come from these rough neighborhoods and they're used to brothers?
I don't know. Or some of the sisters that are harder, they come from a rich neighborhood.
So you're saying that in general, when you're just in public and you're meeting people on the surface level, you're saying that you agree that with what the guys on social media are saying, that white women are generally more pleasant on the surface.
I said I could see why they say that.
Right.
Now, if you ask my opinion, I gave you some various reasons why it might be true under certain circumstances. I don't know.
Okay.
But I do know there are some people who are known to push dividing groups of people. They love to see a division among brothers and sisters.
Yeah, but it's already there. It's already there. Like it ain't.
Yeah, but it's pushed, and it's also being shown out in public. So yeah, some people are pushing.
Okay, so now
somebody like you make a living now showing stuff like that.
So tell me this. Do you think that would you have been upset if me or Austin or anybody had married a white woman?
No. But I tell you one thing. Let me tell you what my mother said.
Would you be having?
You know how many brothers? Me and Marita counted one day. All the brothers that married white women that had some contribution to make that no other brother did. Yeah. I could name many of them.
Mm-hmm. So you saying white women getting the best of the black men? The cream of the crop?
Sometimes they do. And I give you an example in sports. This used to be an example in sports. I don't know if
it still is. It still is.
Years ago, even at my schools, most schools, You got a brother who's a baseball player.
Right.
You read some articles about him when he's at high school or college or minor league, and you know in a couple of years he's gonna be wealthy. Some women in other groups, they read that. Let's say a brother, off season, he got to spend the night in his mama's and father's basement because he ain't got no money. But 5 years later, 3 years later, he's gonna be wealthy. A sister don't want to be bothered with somebody who doesn't have a car, who live in their mother's house. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
That's just an example.
So you're saying that the sisters aren't digging the brothers. You're saying that a white girl gets the man. The reason we see so many athletes today and in your generation, high-paid athletes, high-paid actors, high-paid celebrities that come from the black community, but they're married to lily white women. You're saying that's because sisters may have curved them when they were on their come up, when they were grinding.
That's possible. And also, those companies, that football teams, basketball teams, they have free white girls at the parties. They don't have very few sisters. That's when I did the study. I don't know what's now. And so a brother, you know, he get his brain all mixed up.
Okay, so the white girls, they're not just choosing the brothers. When you see a famous black man with a white girl, it's not just because he hates himself or he hates.
Not right in many cases.
Yeah.
But in America, TV and everything trains you unless you've been deprogrammed. See, you are deprogrammed because you went to a school that deprogrammed you.
Right.
They want a white woman. That's the reward in many cases. Now, this is only, all this stuff is my opinion. I'm no expert. I don't read like I used to read. So, just an old man's opinion.
Okay, so now, if sisters are upset by that, say you're a sister, you see all these brothers, these wealthy brothers choosing white men, white women and men, but
so what?
you see all these. If you're a sister and you're an eligible sister that's single or whatever, you got your stuff together, you got your education, you got your house, you got your car, whatever. And what do you tell to those sisters that see all these men that they would want and they're with white women? What do you say to those sisters? What kind of advice can you give to those sisters?
Well, I don't know if I'm in the position to give any advice, but I think if anybody I talk to is the brothers, because I think, and I'm biased about this, because see, in a way I think I'm lucky because the family I came from, my mother was real dark. She and her sister are dark skinned, but my mother, when she was young, her and her sister looked like models. Some people say they're the most beautiful women they ever saw.
Right.
And my father looked like he came from another country. He looked like an Arab or something. You never, And so both of them were considered very attractive in the black neighborhood, in the community. But we never had this issue about people who are light-skinned, or good-looking, or good hair. I mean, I wanted my hair to be wavy so the girls could give me some play when I was little, elementary school.
So they had conks. When you came out, when the time when everybody was wearing conks, right?
No, hell no. People in D.C. didn't wear conks. Very few people. They just want waves in their hair.
Oh, they just wore waves.
Right.
Conks weren't big.
We look down on people, even the musicians. In both
like James Brown. We
look down on that. We ain't like that stuff in D.C.
Okay.
But some people did, but very few.
Okay.
We called them, we had a name for them.
What?
Bammers. And we had our nerves, but we didn't like that. We thought it was crazy. But we wanted waves in our hair so the girls could, and girls like that kind of stuff in those days when you little.